Social media has completely changed how we connect and the way that we communicate. It is a very powerful platform. It is also neutral, depending on the person or organization doing the posting. It can bring truth or ignorance, comfort or fear, humor, anger, disappointment, intimidation, and empowerment. As agents of change, we need to understand the power that we have at our fingertips to influence properly for the kingdom of God. But it is a skill that must be taught and applied, for we are to be wise as serpents, yet innocent as doves. And we must use our powers for good. So please join David Simons and I as he shares his expertise on the skills needed to harness the influential power of social media.
Hello, my name is David D. Simons of Kingdom Social Media. Kingdom Social Media is a training organization that helps to train influential leaders and leading organizations on how to dominate social media marketing. I do a training called the Social Media Marketing Mastery Workshop. It's a one-day intensive where people go through the different elements of how to create a complete and comprehensive social media plan. Now, one of the things that's different about our workshop is because it's a very intense, action-oriented workshop. I even tell people that you should take a day to rest the night before because your brain is going to hurt from a lot of information, but a lot of valuable information.
David, I have heard so many amazing things about you, and I was asking around my friends, hey, I need a guru who's in the social media spectrum to give us insight, because honestly, I am seeing so many people acting a fool online. So thank you for joining us today. It is great to have you. And we need some expertise, some key points, because I have been seeing people, they are hurting people's feelings without even realizing it. I see them attacking people. And then it totally misses the entire message of what they were trying to say, maybe because the tone they were using, and they were trying to get their point across, and it didn't come across that well. And so it's sad what we're seeing on social media. But honestly, David, we are seeing the power that social media has. And as agents of change, we can harness the power and influence for the kingdom of God through this amazing tool that I believe God wants us to use for his behalf. So please give us some key points. Help us get out of our own ways. And how can we utilize social media when engaging online with the truths that God has given us through his principles without offending people?
Yeah. Wow. Trista, thank you so much for having me on. It's truly an honor. Very excited to share these things. And I think it's so important to understand where we are in the world and where we are as agents of change and influencers. So the first thing I always point to is the thing that got me into the whole social media space and creating a whole company around it was a statement that I heard by Dr. Miles Monroe. He said that the church is 40 years behind when it comes to technology. And that struck a chord with me. So people that are supposed to be of influence, supposed to be of the light, supposed to have the ability to impact are not understanding this medium, this tool that we have, and what is our purpose for it. And we know that if you don't know the purpose of a thing, you're going to naturally abuse it. And then when you abuse it and you don't understand it, and you take on a characteristic that other people do because you're not understanding your position, then you start to see those things that we've seen in media, people attacking each other, people going after each other's throats, and their character is just awful. So that's the first thing we have to understand, is that our purpose for social media should stand out from anybody else's. And we can't have the same mentality that others have when it comes to social media. Just like we shouldn't have the same kind of character as someone who doesn't know the truth, doesn't know the principles in your household, in your finance, in other areas. It's the same thing applies on social media. We should take that same responsibility and take it seriously, because there are people watching. Here's the thing that I've realized, and is that people are always watching. They're watching everything you say. They're watching everything you do more than ever before. I tell all the young people that are applying for jobs and getting online, and you better scan all of your social media. Make sure that it doesn't have anything you don't want, that doesn't reflect well of you. So it's the same thing as people of the kingdom. We have to understand that every single thing that we post is an indictment against you if you're not careful, right? So I look at it like this, that it's your written record. It never disappears. It never goes away, despite what all these platforms say. Oh, we'll delete it after 24 hours. We'll do this. That's not happening. There is a motive for them to keep all the information on it. So when you understand that your message, your content is not your own, just like we're not supposed to be our own, your message is not supposed to be your own. It should reflect light. It should do things in love, right? We can't have the things that I'm seeing a lot. We see people bashing each other, and I think it's okay to correct people, but we have to do it in love. I'll never forget this one incident where I'm embarrassed by it now, and my wife was so embarrassed by it, where I was holding a raggedy Bible up and I was kissing the Bible as my profile picture, right? And a lady sent me a direct message and kind of like corrected me, and just, gently. But had she done that publicly, just natural human nature, I probably would have had a different response. But she took the time, and I think that the Bible tells us to tell the truth in love. And so we can't just say, oh, because of social media, oh, because it's a political thing, I can just take my values and take my principles and throw them out. You got to take the same principles and the same values that you would have if you saw somebody in person and apply it online. This is one of the things that I think people need to understand about social media. Social media is really it should be a reflection of what you do in person. If Trista, if I walked into your neighborhood and I saw you and I said hello, walked by and I said hello, and you didn't respond back, we would consider that kind of rude, right? The same thing online. If you walked in on social media, somebody's responding or saying something to you, and you don't respond back, it's the same kind of thing. We don't apply it. So whether it's a greeting or whether it's a principle of understanding that somebody has a different view, a different perspective than you, you wouldn't do that in public. So why do this? I'm just call it out. People become internet bullies, right? And they think they can have the power to just say anything, do anything, and attack people anyway. And that's not how you would do it in real life. So that's not how you should do it online. So that's something I think is the first piece, is knowing the purpose of social media. Why do we use it? And we know that we're supposed to be alike. The second principle is that knowing what to do with this profound power. So when you know what it is, know why it is, you now need to know what is the power that I have to do with this. I've seen lives impacted by social media. A lot of people are afraid of the internet, afraid of this, afraid of especially believers get afraid of utilizing technology, but it's a power to transform and change lives. I've seen it do so many things for other people. I've seen, I've even heard this myself, suicides canceled because somebody was willing to put a message that resonated with someone that they needed to hear in that exact moment at that exact time. And when you understand your power, that, like I said earlier, somebody's watching you, somebody's listening to your every word. They're getting from you more than you think you know. I have a friend right now who I've been believing for a transformation in his life, and he's been watching what I post for the last 10 years. 10 years. And thank God I'm consistent, and I'm not one way in real life and one way online. And his slowly getting knowledge and getting information and getting insight, and he's slowly coming to a place of understanding and truth. And so that is a beautiful thing. But if you and I, as people of the light and kingdom citizens, don't understand that power, we'll abuse it. And that's what we
Yeah,
see.
that's a powerful point. There's two things I just took from you that I think need to be repeated. Number
Mhm.
one, our platform online is an extension of who we are in real life. And in real life, we are ambassadors of the King, and we represent his values, his standards, his principles, his love, his character, his nature. We represent him. We are him here on the earth. And I have some people that consider themselves kingdom citizens, and I've seen them rate one another online. And you're not really a kingdom citizen if you believe this. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. How did they get to this point? And then I'm embarrassed for them. And so I really like what you said. And I think we need to take this to heart. If somebody is perhaps putting error or an opinion online, or for instance, I'll use an example. I had a dear sister of mine, and she posted recently some books that she's reading. And one of them I had read before, and I asked Dr. Miles' mentor, Dr. Jerry Horner, who's a theology major, his Bible teacher. I said, what are your feelings on these books? He says, stay away from them. And so I direct message her privately. This was just yesterday. Listen, my dear sister, just FYI, I read that book 10 years ago. I went to Dr. Horner. He said, just stay away, stick with the scriptures, da 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 da. And she's like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But I didn't inform her that in public, like you're saying. And I have to tell you, I've seen people smear one another that are kingdom citizens. I met them at Dr. Miles' conferences, and they have this spirit of just attacking, and they're just, I don't know, it's horrible. And I've had to unfriend a few because I don't want that spirit on my page. But like you said, I love this. You have a friend who's been watching you for 10 years, and you can post stuff for 10 years and they never even like one of them, but they're watching, they're listening, they're paying attention, and you're planting seeds.
Yes.
So we must be very aware of the seeds that we are planting on a daily basis. Either they bring life or they bring death, and it can, we cannot offend people.
Right.
And Dr. Miles says the best way to diffuse anything is to say, okay, I understand. I understand where you're coming from.
Right. I agree so much. I mean, I have this motto. I always say, it's okay to disagree as long as we agree to be friends, and that is, it's not gonna ever change somebody's heart by you bashing them to come to know the truth. It's not gonna help them. It never really works, honestly. That kind of approach. I believe this. One of my mentors said that if you want to correct someone, you need to have a relationship with them. So you can't. So just like if there's no relationship, I can't come into your feed, even if I loosely know you, and I just bash you and attack you. That's not right. That's not good character. And so, as you said, I just want to read the definition of influence, because we're talking about harnessing the power of influence. And I think when we understand that the word influence itself kind of really relates back to the principles that are in the scriptures, So here's the definition. It says the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. So it just breaks down to me that, wow, influence is a big deal of it is character. When we think influence, we think celebrities and all these things, but really influence is your character. So your character, as we've learned, as we've been taught, is like a rock, or a character like the letter C. It doesn't change. It doesn't maneuver. Doesn't matter what the political environment is. Doesn't matter what the right, the left, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. It doesn't matter what anybody says. If you allow it to change your character, you got to question yourself. You can't allow your character to be changed. So I think there's a lot of things that we have to be cognizant of. So one is not attacking others' character, because that's not how Christ did things. He didn't attack people's character to win them. I think it's also imperative that we understand that we're a family, right? So we're a family. We're supposed to do things like a family would. So as a family, if I have a problem, I'm going to handle that privately, like you did, and sending the right message, like I did, or like I received from that lady. The other thing is, I think we have to know the power that we have as influencers in the marketplace as well. This is an opportunity for us as kingdom people to take what we've learned. And I believe this, and I think we talked about this before, where you're going to dominate something. Now you dominate something in real life, right? And then you take what you've dominated and use that as an influence, because that's what draws people in. We know about the story of the poor man who saved the city, right? Nobody recognized his good work. Why? Because he didn't dominate anything. He didn't dominate. And so you want to be a big influencer on social media, be a big influencer in your sphere of influence, dominate the communication realm, the business realm, whatever realm that you're supposed to be a part of, dominate that. And as you do, what's going to happen is your influence is going to spread online. So it will influence people to learn good principles, but it will influence people if you're in business, because we're supposed to occupy till he comes. We're supposed to understand that. I love this scripture about Proverbs 11:26. It says, people curse the one who hoards the grain, and they bless the one who is willing to sell it. So if you have a product, you have a service, it is your moral obligation to bless people with your product or service. So don't spam people. And I know we're going to talk about this. Don't go on somebody's feed and hit them with, like, tag 25 people about your new venture or your new product or your new page. That's not how you do it. You influence people. They come to you. You don't force yourself upon them. But I think there's a balance there, right? So not to be spammy and overly promotional, but also at the same time, share the value that you have, because it's a God-given gift that you have to bring to the world.
Yeah, and I see mostly the connections I have is the religious people. Mm-hmm. They want to tag 100, they'll tag 100 people. I'm like, oh my goodness, please stop tagging me. And I've seen people say, hey, people stop tagging me. And right. It's a way of self-promotion, and there's a right way to do it. Right. If people want it. And then I think there's an inappropriate way where you're just using it just to build yourself up. But listen, the content, the truth should speak for itself. And if people are learning and grasping and really garnering knowledge from your content, they'll share it.
Right.
They'll share it, 30, 40, 50 shares. And the truth, and I'll never forget, Dr. Miles said this, the message is more important than the messenger. Mm. So I think there's a fine line. Are we trying to promote a message or the messenger? Mm. And I believe it's imperative that we're promoting a message.
That's good. That's good. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think how we do it, right? There's a positioning of how do we position ourselves, because some of us are new to social media or haven't really tapped into the mindset of social media. So one of the things I've learned is that there's two main reasons why people use social media. One is education or entertainment. So if somebody wants to get education, where they're solving a problem or learning about news, learning about something that's going to edify them, help them, there's that. Then there's education, entertainment. People are, bored. I'm going to scroll through my feed and see what's going on, see what's going on. So if you understand that, then the content that you put out there should be from either one of three angles. One, either educational content that's going to, like, I tend to share, insights or principles and values and or things that are going on in my life and principles that I'm learning. The other piece is entertainment, from an entertainment standpoint. So people may just add maybe more character to it, more of your personality to it. Or there's the type of person that adds both education and entertainment into both, and they weave that in to put that together. So you got to ask yourself, what is going to be my angle? Am I going to be the person that brings? I feel like I bring like a reporting standpoint. I'm bringing information that I'm hearing from the media, or I'm reading, or I'm dissecting from my own principles that I've learned and studied, and I'm bringing that to my audience, to my feed. Or am I going to be the type of person that entertains some, or am I going to be the type of person that entertains and educates? So you got to really find your lane and understand what is true to you, and don't be afraid to share that. And I also believe that when you do this, what's going to happen? The most important thing is to be consistent. I shared a little bit about it earlier, but as you're consistent, people, that's what draws us to our favorite TV shows, our favorite artists, musicians, anything. It's consistency. And so when you decide what your consistency is going to be, whatever amount of time, maybe you're going to do one live a week, or they're going to do a few Facebook posts a week, whatever it is, that's also part of the character as well. Because whatever you do daily or whatever you do consistently is what you become eventually, right? So that consistency is going to draw people in to you. I think about my favorite show, Shark Tank, right? Same formula, right? Yours too. Same formula. Investors, you got your those that are the companies that are pitching. They got the formula, but you know the formula, but it's just they plug and change the people. The investors say the same, but they plug and change the people that are pitching. And when you understand that's why it's one of the number one shows. They didn't change the formula. It's been same from day one. So we have to understand that as well. Be consistent as much as possible so you can draw people into you.
David, that's a great key. And you've shared so many key elements that we need when harnessing the power of social media. So you've told us the things to do. Mm-hmm. Now, can you give us some things not to do?
Absolutely. So we talked about not attacking each other. We talked about not keeping things going privately and we talked about not spamming. The other thing I think is really important for us as kingdom citizens, as believers, we have to be very cautious of what we communicate on what topics, right? So there are topics that are sensitive. And if you don't know something, then maybe you should stay away from talking about it, whether it's racial injustice, whether it's, the things that cops deal with. Like, for example, I had a panel earlier in May, and we invited a black cop, a white pastor, a Jewish woman, and a millennial, and a black mother with a young son. All 5 different perspectives, all the ones that we've seen in the media probably attacking each other, right? But we brought them all together and we had a peaceful conversation. And the key was that we said, hey, we're coming here to bring understanding. And I think we talked about the fact that, when you come from a position of seeking to understand and not seeking to throw your view or throw your position. So that's the thing that I think we should not do, is don't come with an attacking mindset. Come with an understanding mindset. And what happened out of that is that relationships were developed, and understanding when people got different perspectives they never heard, because you're don't consuming the media. So here's another thing. Don't just read the media for the media. They're trying to get you riled up. They're trying to get you. The media, unfortunately, is a business that's trying to get sales, right? And the way they sell is fear, hate, division. A lot of these things it's not a positive tool always, except for like Shark Tank and things like that. For the most part, it's a divisive tool. And if they get us into division, they're operating. So be careful what you read and research what you read. Don't assume that knowledge is actually factual. You need to go double check, just like they told us when we did papers in school, you had to get multiple sources to prove whatever is true. We don't check anything anymore. We just, oh, it's on Google. Oh, it's on Fox. Oh, it's on ABC. Oh, it's on CNN. Like we just trust it. And that is where the problem starts. What happened in the last election? Fake news was a big problem, right? Because people are being lazy. So don't be lazy. Do your research. Don't attack people. And also, I'm just going to harp on this again. Don't spam people. Don't spam people. Don't just blast people with your message, even if it's good, if it's great. Find out if it adds value to them. This is what I do. If you're gonna mass message, ask them, do you mind if I tag you on this? I'm putting this out there. I think that this would be something of value, or this is something I want you to be a part of. Do you mind? Ask. Be polite and use the same courtesy that you would in person. You wouldn't come to somebody's business and just start plastering stuff on their business. You wouldn't do that. But social media, sometimes we forget our etiquette. So don't forget your etiquette online. That's another principle as well.
That's a great one. David, I've been on the receiving end of the Naples Daily News actually quoting me as saying something in quotes that I never said.
Wow.
And they talked to a front desk agent over the phone, a local did, trying to book a room. And at the time, we weren't allowing locals to stay at the hotel. This was in 2005. So the mayor found out about it, the city committee, they were all mad that me as a local hotel wouldn't accept locals. And to be honest with you, it would, the locals that pay with cash always had issues where there's domestic abuse. There were binge addicted people binging out. We've had, prostitution every now and then. So every negative experience I had at the hotel, and I was much younger then, I had to deal with as the manager, as the director of operations. I'm not versed in how to handle somebody who's high, how to handle somebody who's dealing with a pimp, dealing with the prostitutes, dealing with domestic abuse issues, dealing with suicide issues. And that was what was happening. So a local wasn't allowed to stay. We said, we're sorry, we don't rent to locals. And it would just be, and this was a policy I had in place for the 10 years I had been there at the time. So the paper quoted me, my former name, my maiden name, Trista Youngquist said, locals are riffraff. And I'm like, I'm a local, I'm native. I'm more native than most of the people that have transplanted here and consider themselves locals.
Wow.
I never said that. I never even thought it. It's not even a thought of mine.
Wow.
And I'll never forget. I saw it in quotations that I said locals are riffraff. So believe like half of what you see, half of what you hear. You really can't even believe much anymore. There's so many people slandering one another, and to actually quote me to say that, I was shocked. And then it went on the news. Then the mayor called me. It became this whole debacle, and it was false information.
Wow.
Somebody said, quote, I never said it. If I would have said it, I would have admitted it and apologized. That's how I am, but I didn't. So one other thing, and we're going to end here, is I love what you said. There's a principle that Jesus operated with, and I believe it needs to be brought to light here regarding our activity on social media. We must always reach people where they are, not where we are. because we were at one point where they were looking for truth, looking for information. Hopefully people are looking for truth. I don't know anymore what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. We reach them where they are. Don't expect them to understand where we are. And a lot of times we put that on them. Appreciate their ignorance.
Yes.
Appreciate where they are. Appreciate their free will. Appreciate their ability to have their own opinion.
That's
And
right.
listen, move on, appreciate it. And a lot of times I've seen people where they don't even listen. You know, they're posting things and people on their feed are saying, listen, that's not true. That's offensive to me. And they're so set in what they believe is the truth because of their experience.
Right.
But that's not always true from other people's experience. And they were just saying, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for leaving your opinion. On and on. And Jesus, the most important statement he said was, let us come and reason together. And I think that's one of the keys is let us come together, reason together, hash out these things, learn from each other's experiences. I know, I'm sure if we talked about it, my experiences are completely different than yours. So I can't expect to bring your experiences to my table and bring you where I'm at when it's just completely different. So I think we have to be very careful when it comes to putting our opinions on. Our opinions don't matter. We're ambassadors. We represent the laws, the principles that God has set forth. And our job as representatives is to bring forth his opinion, what the king says about the situation. And that all comes through the truth and love. So David, thank you so much for your expertise. It has been honestly a pleasure getting to know you as we've come into this interview sessions. And I consider you a friend, a brother now. And thank you for all that you're doing for the kingdom of God. And I really pray that us as kingdom citizens understand the power we have to truly influence through this medium that we have been given. Is there any lasting words that you want to leave us with today?
Yeah. Thank you again. Thank you, Trista. Truly, so honored to know you and become friends with you and learn more about what you're doing. And this is awesome work. And I'm like, wow, this needs to go around the world and I know it will. I just want to leave on that last point, to your point, that it's a medium, right? Media is a medium, and it can be used for good. It can be used for evil. It's how you position it. Just like money, it can be used. It takes on the mind of its owner. If you're a giver, you're going to be giving more. If you're stingy, you're going to be more stingy with more money. So whatever you use social media for, remember, it's going to take on your character. So to always work on your own character, who you are, because and this is the truth, a lot of people, they're dealing with this right now. And if you're insecure, social media is going to really highlight that. It's going to show up in your content. So work on yourself, and it will automatically change your content. And as you change who you are, you'll change what you put out.
Thank you, David, for this valuable information. Agents of change, we have our work cut out for us. The world is dark and we are the light. Let's bring light, truth, principles of God's kingdom to this world. God is waiting on you. Thank you, David, again. Be blessed.
Thank you, Tristan. You too.